Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Middle of the Row, the podcast. This is our 150th episode of the prime timeline of episodes. We have lost, I think we lost 3 total. And those technically, I think I skipped them in the count. So technically, there's only been 147 official episodes.
What was the third one? Snowman, The Silence?
Snowman and Solo. Ben sabotaged.
You guys I bet you guys didn't even actually record it because I
Wait, what was the other one? Silence?
Solo. Oh, The Silence. It was that Netflix
lost
movie.
That one without me.
There was like A Quiet Place, but not with Sabrina.
Bird Box 2, aka not Bird Box.
I still need to watch
it's more
Bird
like
Box.
a Quiet Place.
Oh, the one with one with Stanley Tucci?
Yeah.
We recorded that?
Yeah, we did.
Well,
I had the best jokes and no one will ever hear them.
Well, you and Lauren recorded it.
But
Yes.
Snowman was the first one, though, right? Because
Yeah, that's why it's called Snowman.
That's where the
That's why
term
it's called
snowman.
Snowman.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure.
Because we were polite enough not to call it binning or something.
So we've had a couple bonus episodes on random movies and a couple TV reviews
video
that I think
games.
that were out of context. Decade's Best is in the feed. A couple of John's Middle of the Dials. But yeah, 150. Congrats to us. Nice work.
We have
guys.
not improved since episode 1.
Oh, we're definitely probably better than the beginning.
I don't
We
listen
have
to
better
it.
mics.
I wouldn't know.
This week.
Well, wait,
we are
also,
doing
hold on.
our-
We also, Zach, you texted us, we passed our first episode going to 1,000 listens recently. That
Yeah.
was also pretty exciting.
I would like
I
to apologize to
wish-
each and every one of those people.
I wonder. I still don't know why that episode gets hit so much. The Into the Spider-Verse episode.
Yeah, I
But,
feel like we were definitely not the only people talking about how great that
Yeah, that's what I mean. Obviously, 1,000 hits is a major podcast
just
does
me.
that in 5 seconds.
Reloading,
But it's just
refreshing.
Lauren. It's the one episode she's listened to. But this week is our last
Episode
flashback
ever.
for the year because we burnt through all of them during COVID times. So this episode, well, I'm really slacking on. I got like 4 in the tank right now as school started, but we're gonna figure stuff out. We have a new release for next week.
Follow us on Patreon.
No Patreon yet. Maybe we'll launch a Patreon by the time the 150th episode comes out. I don't think anybody would join.
We could
though.
pay an
It'd just
editor,
be
Zach.
sad and
It'd be
depressing.
great.
Why would I do that? I could do it for free.
Fair enough. We could pay an editor just to catch up and then be like, psych.
But we're gonna hopefully there's a lot of streaming new releases coming out. But yeah, so we'll keep having stuff for the rest of the year, and we'll figure out what to do outside the bonus or the flashbacks.
Yeah, we have the next
but,
2 weeks lined up.
Yeah, what's after Devil All
Enola
the Time?
Holmes. I think that's the following
yeah.
week.
Oh, two
Yeah,
Netflixes in a row.
Does it come out Friday or because that other movie came out today? Weirdly,
Yeah, I'm like 40 minutes into it.
Why do you do that?
to yourself?
Enola Holmes is a Wednesday, the 23rd.
They must be switching the release structure to get a head start on the weekend or something like that. This week's episode is my pick and last of the year. It's from 2010 and is the documentary by Banksy, Exit Through the Gift Shop. This movie, I'm pretty sure I put in my top 100 of the decade. And I still think it holds up. I'm still a solid A on this movie. I was a little wary in the beginning. Like, it is pretty generic for the first... Like, it's interesting, and the main character, who is Terry Guetta, is this guy who had been filming street artists by randomly came across him. He was related to one of them, I believe, and... was like this guy who recorded literally everything in his life and then just put the tape away and never looked at it ever again. And he ends up partnering up with Banksy in his early goings and records for him. And he was supposed to make a documentary about street art, and in one of the best scenes of the movie, is Banksy critiquing his street art documentary, which is literally like it is
It's
interesting.
the video from The
on,
Ring.
like,
That's what it is.
yeah, I mean, it is there. It is something, but it, yeah. So, and then that's kind of where the film.
It is
and
something.
Banksy,
It does exist.
Banksy took over at that point, and I imagine got his hands on a lot of Terry's footage, and then kind of crafted his own documentary. And I think that's where the movie really gets quite good, as it becomes a really prescient movie on the future and social media and how stupid art is sometimes. And this is there was an HBO documentary that came out a couple years ago called it's something in reference to the amount of money that's being spent in it on these paintings and stuff like that. And it's funny how much the Terry Guetta guy is comparable to Dan Klaus, I think that's his name, who does he did the bean thing in Chicago, and he does those balloon animal aluminum looking thing. That's what he's famous
he made
for.
The actual bean. I thought there was some thing based on the bean that I didn't know about.
Oh, no, I think that's the thing though. When they visit him, he's like Terry Guetta, and he hires a bunch of artists, and he's like, yeah, do this, and it's my art. But he doesn't actually do any of the work. Which I think is something that's always happened in the art world. Like, there was I'm sure there's many master paintings by whomever that was, created out of a little art house, where they had people working for them and working in their styles and what have you. But yeah, I don't know. It's super entertaining, super fast paced, has a lot to say, and I don't know. It's still really held up for me. But Terry is just a great character to watch, and Banksy really nails the commentary. So does Shepard Fairey, gets a couple good jabs in on him well.
Do you think this isn't actually real?
Yeah, I don't buy into the is this a big... There's too much footage of Terry to not be real. And if it is just a joke by Banksy, I guess, what does he gain from it?
Wait, so you do think it's real?
That's what it is.
Yeah, I think he's real.
Yeah.
Terry, we're watching a real thing.
Yeah, I basically assumed this was the real version of that Joaquin Phoenix movie. What was it called that we did?
You Were Never Really Here, or something like that?
No, that's his other movie.
I'm Still Here. There it is. I'm Still Here. The one it reminded me of was The Room, where it's just...
Are you sure it wasn't I Once Was There?
Am I here?
It was the way The Room is just
Is that my beer?
Not The Room, but the Disaster Artist style, where it's it's so bizarre, someone couldn't make this up. It's just so outlandish and so crazy. And
Ben, thank you for mentioning that, because
if a Terry was a real person, he or not a real person, he gives possibly the greatest performance ever in the history of film. That's to Ben's point.
Ben, after I finished watching this, I was like, this reminds me of The Disaster Artist, which probably riffs off this a lot. But there's also something else in modern pop culture, lore and memory, that had this kind of zeitgeist around, except probably more. And The Room, the Disaster Artist, that was
and it's just that same just one guy with control, and he's so confident in his own skill and how he's going to be this big star,
but it's not even his own
just
skill.
And everyone else around him is just cringing, and surprisingly it's a hit, for all the wrong reasons.
So, but with that, Lauren, I'm curious, because you being the artist of the group, professionally trained, classically trained, institutionally trained.
Sure.
I'm curious about the line that is crossed from Shepard Fairey and Banksy to Rob Schneider Light, where pop art becomes something that is purposely critical of the medium and culture and that kind of thing, versus just the replicate. Like what's the difference between Mr. Brainwash and Banksy and Vader?
I think
Banksy creates
quite
a lot of his own
too.
stuff, though. It's like they were comparing Mr. Brainwash to Andy Warhol, and those are definitely more comparable.
But just
to
because
me. But Banksy could.
But like even then, Andy Warhol was like renowned for his art and like in like making the mundane like interesting or whatever.
I'm not the
right?
best
like,
person to ask because I was never an Andy Warhol fan.
Yeah. But
he's no Jackson Pollock, but
it's just interesting that there seems to be, and again, I am no artist whatsoever, but there's a distinctive line that's drawn between some of these older street artists / pop artists, who are seen as like very like revolutionary and countercultural, and subversive, who are combining like pop culture or like manipulating pop culture through their medium in an interesting way. But there seems to be like a difference between what they're doing and what Terry's doing. And I can't really describe the difference or see the difference except to say that maybe it's being done with less authenticity and less ingenuity and more for the sake of style versus substance.
I mean, with Banksy, he always stood apart for me from the rest of the group, and this one really was because he was creating original things, whereas Mr. Brainwash was taking like something that was already made by someone else and just like painting sunglasses on them. It's like so yeah, it's like I always what was it in art school? They were always like, if you're going to use something that someone has already made, you have to change like 90% of it to actually call it original art. I don't know if that's actually a rule that applies, but I remember my teacher telling me that, and it's always stuck with me.
I think it might be closer to 70.
I mean, these
but
days,
what's weird, if you apply that metric though, like he did, like there was the one which was like John Lennon, except like everything except his face was like connect the dots. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting.
I thought those were cool.
Like it seems like there's a lot of interesting ideas that, to Terry's credit, Rob Schneider's credit, that he's able to come up with.
Yeah.
And
why are you calling him Rob Schneider?
because he looks like Rob Schneider, and I'm 72% convinced that it's actually Rob Schneider.
I mean, in the same vein, we could say you look like Rob Schneider.
Touche.
But no, like it's hard. Like I wish I could see the original art that he based his stuff on and see like compare it just next to each other to see how much he actually changed stuff. Because I mean, there's stylistically.
I mean, a lot of it is the original art. Like your assessment is pretty accurate. I mean, the stuff that looks like Warhol, he's stealing Warhol's thing like whole cloth, you know.
Or even the like replacing Marilyn Monroe's like hair and features kind of onto recognizable characters or figures, excuse me. And even there's the one with Paul McCartney where it literally is just a picture of Paul McCartney, but then every part of his like torso is like a record. And I'm like, these are cool, interesting ideas. Even the television monster, which is not original whatsoever, I look at it, I'm like, that's pretty fucking sweet.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed that one, that installation piece. But again, he had no part of that, I'm sure.
No, for sure. He just told these guys, hey, can you make me a television
Yeah, and I was kind of
monster?
surprised they didn't talk to more of those people who are actually there making the art, because I would have been outraged. I mean,
yeah.
I think they got the outrage came
they
across.
got paid decently, hopefully, especially considering how much some of those pieces were going for.
But it was also weird, like, it seemed like he was pricing it haphazardly.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he wasn't actually taking into account, like, time spent by, like, the artist.
He didn't spend the time on it.
It makes me laugh so much, because I see that stuff. It's like, yeah, I would sell that on Etsy for, like, $10. And then he's like, $10 million, or whatever it was. Jesus. But, yeah, I don't know. But, like, people were willing to pay that much money for it for some reason, so.
Yeah, that other documentary, I should look it up. The HBO one gets really into the collector side of things and like the what drives them.
Oh
to
my
do
gosh,
that kind of stuff.
that one collector I couldn't stand. I was like,
The woman in
you're
her house or
purposely
whatever.
here so I can want to punch you in the face. Like, that is your purpose in this documentary.
Yeah. So Ben, what did you think of the movie? Are we actually going around doing that for this one?
I don't know. Like, I thought the first 2/3 were fine,
Mhm.
but not, like, didn't really capture me. It's like, I don't know what anybody's seen in this movie. And then the last, 25 minutes or so, with, Mr. Brainwash doing all of these, like, getting his stuff ready, and then just everyone assuming it's going to be dumpster fire. And
I was so sad when it
being
was
like, "Oh my-"
successful. It's like,
Yeah, and then everyone's like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!"
Mhm.
Like what? This is the next Banksy, and that's like 4.5 stars to me. That 25 minutes or so, and I'm like dying. And my favorite bit in the entire movie is just Banksy being like, "I'm never doing this shit again. This is so stupid. Like, why would I help this? Like, why did I help this guy? Like,
Yeah.
And it's
I
just
used to encourage all my friends to try and do art, and I'm
Yeah.
not gonna ever do that again.
yeah, but you think he would be fully into the statement that's being made with all these people buying these pieces for so much money, considering
Yeah.
this background I have, where
Yeah.
it's like he shredded art.
But the movie is kind of like him showing the difference. Like, it's him allowing him to say, what I do is art. What he's doing is bullshit. And
But people will
it's bullshit that
buy
yeah.
people will buy
Yeah, call it
whoever's
fertilizer.
whoever
People are gonna
says
buy that
whoever's
bullshit.
like the talent of the artist doesn't matter. It's the opinion, I guess, of like
I mean, Mr. Brainwash had no art
Mhm.
before this thing.
And you
Yeah.
could
Like,
argue
was a
he still
complete-
doesn't have any art.
Yeah.
Did anyone look into him? Is he still around doing stuff?
I think so. Yeah. I don't know to what
like
extent
is he still
they
making
reference
art?
it
Oh,
that-
that poor bastard.
Oh my god, the thing at the end though where it was like his wife has taken up the camera. It's like, no.
Yeah. Get it out of the house.
It's like, how did she not leave him?
No.
He dumped all their money and kept refinancing the house and all this stuff. It's like, why did you stick around?
He's a
And now
millionaire
she's becoming him. Well, yeah,
Jesus.
now.
Yeah, she stuck through with a lot
Mm-hmm.
of bullshit with that guy for a long time.
Yeah. It's like,
Still
But
might be sticking
I
through a lot
like
of
Terry
bullshit.
though. I don't like Mr. Brainwash, but like Terry, you understand like his appeal.
Yeah, he's
Like,
not.
he's a
He's
weird
not a bad
guy.
guy. He's just
Yeah.
really, really fucking weird. Like and I mean, considering the way his life went, it's understandable that he is a little odd.
I think like I was saying at the beginning, I flipped on the movie a little bit. Once him and Banksy kind of hook up, I think the movie works really, really well.
It picks up a lot. Yeah.
yeah, like I checked the clock like at 20 minutes and I was just like, please make this end. And then I finally got invested
Yeah.
later.
Like it's
Yeah.
The Disneyland scene is like a fun little heist thing, and it was kind of interesting to see like how the park was
that stuff
reacting
makes
to
me
it and
cringe
stuff like
so
that.
much. Like I have this love-hate relationship with graffiti in general because it's like on the one hand it's art and it's so fun to see all these little things that like just bring color to a city, like a boring
But it's
street or
against
something.
the
But then the other
rules.
side of me is like, I hate getting in trouble. I was the kid at sleepovers who, when everyone else went out to TP, I stayed at home. So it's like just watching people vandalize walls and stuff. I'm just like, I can't do it, guys. So like seeing something
Well-
like that at Disneyland, I was just like, think of all the panic people had just seeing a hanging body there and the people who had to deal with it. And
yeah,
it's like, ugh.
especially if they're kids there and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. Although I did appreciate how like that's how he earned Banksy's trust is like
Yeah.
the guards take him and he like slyly deletes all of his footage.
He
It's
didn't
like,
even slyly delete it. He did it right in front of their faces.
Well, he tricked them like into letting
Yeah.
him do that on
Yeah.
his
Like,
camera.
I don't
It's
know
like,
what the
that
rules
is-
are. Can a security officer
that's
not
so
just look at the
ballsy.
camera on their own? It's like, how did you
No,
fall for
they're
that?
not police officers.
fair.
They can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
that
don't have a
was
warrant
such,
or
like-
anything.
That was such a clutch move, and then Banksy's just like, yeah, this guy had like my undying trust after that. It's like he fucking should. Like,
But the best one of the best lines of the movie is right before that though, because when he's like, Yeah, I went and changed my clothes and I
Yeah.
went for a ride on
Yeah.
It's a Small World.
He's like, and then I went on the Indiana
Meanwhile,
Jones
Terry's
ride.
getting harassed. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the Indiana Jones, right.
It made me.
He went
It
on,
definitely
like,
made
2
me
different
appreciate
rides.
because I feel like
And then-
we live in a culture now where to quote unquote be countercultural, you just have to have a Wi-Fi connection and know how to type to 140 characters, but you're not really actually offering anything of use or risking anything of value versus like some of these street artists are putting. I mean, first of all, they're probably not making a lot on the front end for them to do their art. So they're literally breaking the law in order to get notice, in order to get more fame, in order to finally make a profit. And so, and again, all this time they're probably doing so out of creative intentions or also like some very like critical social commentary as well. And so it made me very appreciative of street art culture and especially that scene and that little episode in the movie of the lengths of which performance art can take.
But I think Lauren's background is a perfect example of how Banksy is still pushing that, you know, like, I think that is only a year old or so.
Yeah, Lauren, can you talk about that?
I don't remember when it happened, but at one point Banksy, one of his pieces of art went on sale at an auction house for just a shit ton of money. And like as soon as it sold, he had built in a shredder into the frame of the piece of art. So like as soon as it sold, I don't know who triggered it, but like it just the piece of art just started going out of the frame and shredding as it went, and everyone was just like just looking at it in pure horror. And it's just such an interesting commentary on it though, because it's like after that happened, they were like, we didn't know if that made it like its value go down or actually
More
up.
valuable.
It's like, ugh.
I probably went up because they think they say it malfunctioned, but I imagine I would not put it past them. He was smart enough to have it stop halfway. So now that person is hanging
did it?
that
Oh,
piece
it
of art
stopped
on
Yeah,
his
it
wall.
stopped.
It didn't. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I think the piece still sold, and I'm sure that person is hanging it on their wall, looking just like it is in that
yeah,
picture.
especially
Yeah.
with how famous it is now.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what's interesting is, and this is what's interesting about art and like a theme explored in the movie. In order for that to be so popular, like he essentially had to like that image is something that he's already painted on numerous bridges or buildings
And
or
like variations
landscapes.
of the same like setup.
Yeah, already. And so the image itself is not unique or original. It's who it's ascribed to. It's the artist that's ascribed to. And so it brings up this interesting commentary on art where it's like how are we assigning value or worth to these things? Which by the way is still great for the artist. Again, they're getting compensated for their work, but like also it's all kind of silly though too at the same time, right? Like I don't know.
But again, I think that's why the film was advantageous to him to point out, hey, I created a style. I have been always doing things that you can take as commentary. And that's why my work is trying to say something and is why it could be seen as valuable. Where he just straight up just is trashing Mr. Brainwash as just, there's nothing of value here. You guys are dumb and stupid for buying his art. But at the same time, he's kind of admitting defeat at that, like, but fuck, he's making millions of dollars too. So what do I know? Yeah, I know it's really, it's crazy how prescient it still feels 20 or 10 years later. Like it could have came out today and it would be like, yeah, this is talking about things that are, it'd be really interesting to see the updated version of it actually. And if someone applied how, influencers on social media and how all of that people are making money and endorsed by like, because you're on The Bachelor, you get, I don't, and it is just a metric, it's like, well, a company's betting that you're going to be able to, you have 2 million people following you. So this will get seen by that many people, I mean, I get it, but at the same time, you could just spin it all the way into like the advertising realm. Like it seems crazy that we're still basing advertising revenues on, like a show's success on a major network is still bound to its ratings. And it's like, if you just put the show online through NBC.com, and you could guarantee the ad time being seen. You know, it's a weird world of that. Again, we could mine even deeper. I think that whole television ratings is something that feels completely backwards and has never been properly assessed in the last 10 years. But I'm not going to make that documentary. Yeah, I don't know if I have much more to say on this one. Does anybody have any other good Banksy lines? Or, I mean, I think every time he opens his mouth, he's pretty funny in the back half of the movie.
The only thing I wrote down was just the thing he said about Andy Warhol, where he's like, he's kind of the rightful heir to Andy Warhol in a way. Andy Warhol made a statement by repeating famous icons until they became meaningless, but he was extremely iconic in the way he did it. But then Terry really made them meaningless.
There's also a moment with Terry where he was trying to say something. Again, it's kind of frustrating that he's also got like a pretty formidable French accent, but he just stumbles over the same phrase for like 5 minutes, and finally he just goes, I just love him, in reference to Banksy or whatever. And it's just like, what? That's what you were trying to say this entire time?
Yeah, I like that moment a lot.
I really like the opening, just like the first bit with Banksy, where it's like, yeah, this was supposed to be a documentary about me, but this guy's just way more interesting than I am. So it's like, I thought that was great. And then the other line where, I don't remember what exactly was, but it was when he sees the movie that he put together, and he's just like, well,
Life Remote Control.
Yeah, and he's like, he's certainly no filmmaker.
Yeah.
It's just,
you know, it was at that point that I realized that maybe Terry wasn't actually a filmmaker, and he was maybe just someone with mental problems who happened to have a camera.
Can you imagine having to be the person who actually went through all that footage just to make this?
Right.
I know.
I would have gone
poor
insane.
Banksy.
But like honestly, the way the movie was set up, I kept expecting the other foot to fall. Where it's like at some point, I just assumed Terry like fell off the top of a building or something, and this was going to be like in memoriam or something. But no, it's like no, he's doing well. He's like a billionaire now or something.
He fell off a ladder. So.
He did.
Yeah.
But it's also, I mean, that's part of one of the moments that does make it seem kind of like a mockumentary is that it like the narrator posits it as like everything was going good until this one moment.
Yeah.
And then it's like flash
struck.
photography of him falling off the ladder.
Yeah.
And then it's like scenes of him in the hospital, and it's like a borderline fracture on his like foot. And you're like, are you serious? Like, this is the big dramatic like climax.
Feet injuries hurt. I had to have a toenail removed from my toe, and I thought I was dying.
Oh.
It was rough.
That's gonna do it. It seems like for exit through the gift shop.
I think this is the best quote to sum it up, and this is Banksy himself. By the way, all the quotes on IMDb are classic, but the very first one: I used to encourage everyone I knew to make art. I don't do that so much anymore.
Yeah, no. My final thought is just screw Banksy for what he did to that elephant.
Yeah, that was
you just give him a little
weird.
painting. I don't know.
Putting him in a building with all those people. That
he seemed pretty chill.
Had to be so unsafe for like.
My first thought was like, man, I hope that paint isn't like toxic.
I know that's all I could think
sure
about.
it wasn't.
It's like, oh no,
like,
he's gonna Goldfinger. He's gonna die.
Yeah, regardless of whatever precautions that may have been taken, like it did seem like uber exploitative.
Yeah, it's a high stress
I feel like,
situation.
But wasn't he also commenting on that too at the same time?
That doesn't matter.
Wasn't that the point of the piece?
I don't care what the point of the piece is.
I mean, it's just
you don't make
interesting.
a piece of art about like child, or like I don't know, hungry kids in Africa by just putting an African child there that's just sitting there not eating food. It's like there's a line. The end. That was my high horse, I guess. I also just couldn't think of the word emaciated, so.
Oh, there you go. Next week, we are going to be reviewing a Netflix new release. They started their string of their kind of festival movies 2 weeks ago with the release of Charlie Kaufman's I'm Thinking of Ending Things, the best movie of the year, and y'all should watch it.
That endorsement right there means I will never watch it.
I thought Toni Collette was going to get
That's
you
true.
in there.
I'll do it for her.
Jesse, also, I don't mind me some Jesse Plemons.
Mm-hmm.
He's great. They're all great. The Devil All the Time is our new movie from Netflix. It's directed by Antonio Campos, who I've heard of, but I don't think I've seen any of it. Simon Killer, I remember hearing was good. Christine, I heard was really good, and what's her face was excellent in it. Rebecca Hall, but this will be my first one of his movies. But this is a pretty big breakout for him. He's always done pretty small things. Apparently, he's making The First Omen. Is his next movie? The Devil All the Time stars adaptation of a book, I believe. A Southern Gothic thing. It's got Tom Holland, Bill Skarsgård, Riley Keough, Jason Clarke, Sebastian Stan, Haley Bennett, Eliza Scanlon, Mia Wasikowska, Robert Pattinson, Pokey Lafarge. I'm picking out any other names I recognize.
The novel is by Donald Ray Pollock.
This has been getting okay reviews. I'm still definitely intrigued to watch it. I'm excited to see Tom Holland spread his wings a little bit. And I'm always excited to see Robert Pattinson, even though I got a taste of what he is in this movie in Watch Out. But yeah, this will be my Robert Pattinson fill while I can't watch Tenet. So next week, The Devil All the Time. It's on Netflix. Go give it a watch if you want to stay caught up with us. And
we don't even stay caught up with us with all this backlog of podcast episodes.
I'm only like a couple days late from one a week, which I've been pretty good at for a while. So yeah, until next week, I'm Zach Oldenburg. You can find me wherever you can find at Zach Oldenburg. You can find us at middleofrow.com. Rate and review the podcast. Apparently it helps things.
I'm Ben Grigsby. You can follow me on Twitter and Letterboxd at the Grigsby Bear, and you can follow all of us on Facebook at Middle of the Row.
I'm Jonathan Rahul, and you can at another Rahul J, and follow us on Twitter at Middle of Row.
And I'm
Hashtag no though. We haven't used that in a while.
We've never used
it. Also follow us on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah. And I'm Lauren Heimbach. You can find me on Twitter at Beware of Trees, and you can find us on Tumblr at middleofrow.tumblr.com.
Thanks for listening. Go watch The Devil All the Time. And remember, the best seats are in the middle of the row.